Okay, so this is a recording of us, of the guys from the Unshakable Man, and we're talking about parts work, specifically with our intimate partners, our girlfriends or boyfriends, uh, and um, and like an intro to it, like what is parts work? How do I find parts? What is a parts attack? How do I speak for a part or from a part, or for a part, not from a part? And like, how do I do this? How do I take this like out of talking about it and actually like practice it as a tool in a very small, specific way? Does that sound good, guys? Okay, so the first part is that it comes from this idea of the myth of monolithic personality versus the multiplicity of self concept. So the concept is that we all have this idea that I am a person, like I am Chris Wilson or I am Daniel, right? And when I say it, it like wraps up all this stuff into one word, like I am, and then my name. And that's actually what's happening when we check in. That's why it's so important to say, I am blank and I am checking in. Because when you say those words, you bring it all into one thing, right? Then you go off. Now, what happened is as we survive to get to where we are today, we develop protective parts. And there's three main types of parts. There's managerial parts, there's exiled parts, and then there's saboteur parts, right? Like the parts that manage our life and existence are how we experience our life through. So Daniel, like you were saying in your story, like I run a business, I do these things, right? That is a managerial part of you. And it's very, very effective. And it's probably very, very attractive too, right? So what ends up happening is as we form a relationship, we form relationships through that part. Now, the exiled parts of us that are in this like this pool underneath the surface, to really be in an intimate relationship, we can't just be in the relationship through that one part, right? But then what ends up happening is we actually learned how to be in relationship through those managerial parts. And so there's a metaphor for this called the magical kitchen metaphor. And it's by Don Miguel Ruiz. And what the metaphor is that we all have these children that are parts. Have you heard of this, Daniel? Okay. Underneath the surface, and they all learned how to be fed by us. And they're all very, very hungry and they need to be fed. And when they're not hungry, when they're not getting fed by us, they look to be fed by other people, right? And so we meet people in our life that can feed those parts for us, and we call that romance. We call that attraction, because we think, oh, Daniel can take care of this part for me because I don't know how to take care of it for myself. And then we give up our responsibility to take care of it. Now, to cut ties with that feels like breaking up. It feels like you have to literally risk the entire relationship, because and so we get very out here with it, and we try to explain it, we try to talk it out, and it's all from a place of anxiety. It's all from a place of not being able to, and it does not work. It will not work. And so your first thing to recognize is that talking it out, trying to explain it away, is all trying. And it only leads to more out here negotiating boundaries and rules that feel hard to hold up, because you got to hold them up. What feels good is to learn to take care of it, and to learn that I'm allowed to take care of it, right? And the very first step is to become aware of this, that we are right now, and to actually have the person awaken the part so we can start to get to know it. The very first step is, it's like meeting your children, right? Like so I need to wait for Anna to wake up the part And then instead of caring 100% about what's happening, I'm like, wait, what am I feeling? Okay, and I need to start taking one hand in for me. I need to start to get to know the part, and then we bring the part in here, and we're going to learn how to ask what the part wants, what it needs, what's are its fears. And the more we get to know what the part is in an environment that's safe, the more the story that if this part, like actually, if we take care of it, that the whole relationship's going to end, right? The catastrophe is going to happen. Now, the thing I want you to be aware of is when you do this, the person you are fighting with can feel that you aren't triggered anymore. And that's what's most important. What's most important is that our partner can feel that we don't actually need to figure it out. The more you're able to down regulate and to be like, I don't actually even need you. I don't even need this thing to happen. I'm able to soothe this part. Their nervous system can feel it, right? And they will have a parts attack. They may have many over time, right? But the more you're able to regulate your own nervous system, the more they can feel that they have permission to regulate theirs. And that's the work of love. That's the work of a courageous, loving relationship. So I said a lot in 3 minutes, in 6 minutes. And so now I can't wait for Daniel to go from here to talking.
I hope that wasn't like coming through in a way that was like,
no, dude, I'm like, dude, this is the work, man. I'm here. I'm like loving this, dude. Like, I can't wait to talk.
okay. I think where I get confused by is because like, I want to make sure what I'm hearing is like, so the managerial part of me is something like in this context is like that's something that I have a lot of, it gets a lot of repetition in work, in the work environment and what have you. And maybe Sarah, and again, this may not actually be true, but like the concept, right, is like Sarah's managerial part maybe isn't as strong, and she's trying to offload some of that on me. And I am feeling resistance because it's causing me to feel like I have to manage. It's enough to just try to manage myself and my other responsibilities. And I want to be.
I think to just step in, it's more like your managerial part is really sexy to the person you're with.
Right.
Because that it's so strong that in a way, the other person feels like it can take care of their parts for them.
Right.
And at first, when you're not aware of what's happening, that feels like intimacy. That feels like love, right? Like this person can take care of this for me.
Okay. To that person about the caretaking person or whatever.
Yeah. And you have a deep seated fear that if you stop doing that, she will leave you.
I don't know that. I mean, maybe I do, and I unconsciously.
You kind of said it 3 times. Like if I don't help her with this, like what's gonna happen on the playa, right? Like
no, that's not what I meant.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I mean, there's the part of her that genuinely cares about her well-being and wants to make sure she's like has water or has what she needs, like just as a person. But like my concern is more along the lines of like, for my own ability to allow the non-caretaking part of myself to be able to thrive and to not feel like I have to be in this place of like, because like I don't enjoy wondering what, like when we were at that event in June, the Tupperware events, if you will, like there was a moment where she was refusing to wear her like headlamp. She's like, oh, I don't need it. I'm like, babe, if we get separated, it's fucking dark. We're in the woods. Like, I need you to take this fucking flashlight. And at one point she even like threw it on the ground, like when we were like at a dance, part, and she couldn't find it later. And it was like, you're killing me. And like, it's not having to hold space for that that kind of like I find myself resisting, and I'm like, and like you're like, when she's just sort of like, can you handle this part for me? And I'm like, I'm like, I need to be able to not be in that space. And so I'm not like,
So to carry it like the why, like,
yeah.
why can't you just not do it for her?
I mean, I think I am not doing it for her, but like I just feel this certain level of like for example, with the headlamp,
Why can't you do that next part? Why can't you let that go?
because I don't want to be responsible for, I feel responsible. Like I feel a
Yeah.
certain responsibility
So
for
why can't you
that.
not feel responsible? Why can't you not feel responsible?
Well, one, because I care for her and I want to make sure I'm holding space for her
Okay.
and like her
So
needs,
right? And why is that? Like, why does that matter?
because I care about her and I care about her ability to
Being in
have
a
a good
relationship,
time and to be safe.
be in a relationship.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's it. That's kind of what I'm trying to get you. I'm not trying to pressure you or to tell you that I know what's best.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm
I don't
trying
feel
to help you. I'm trying to help you see that it really they all come, all the parts attacks, all arguments in relationship come down to one person giving up responsibility for their parts to be okay to another. All of them. It's wild.
But like I don't know, like it's hard, like I feel like I'm constantly put in a place of saying no. And
Yeah,
like it kind of feels like I'm constantly having that boundary. Like if this was a perimeter of
yeah,
like we're in the movie Predator and there's the big gates of like my perimeter and there's creatures around or something. It's not really what Predator is
yeah,
about. I'm realizing as I'm saying this again. But like it's like constant probing by like the creatures for like the fucking weak, and I constantly feel like I
yeah,
have to be like, nope,
yeah,
securing the
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
And like,
So yeah, and I'm with you. I feel very connected to this, and it's important, and it's visceral. So the path through isn't this. It isn't this way. The path through is in you and I bringing it in and getting to know the part, and we are going to learn how to be the mountain, right? How to be able to hold no without having to say no all
okay,
the time. So you get more and more comfortable being in your place, and it's really not about her specifically. She will either get the message and get on board, or the next you are going to attract someone who really can be there with you. And I
yeah,
say that from a place of pure love, right? I say that from like, this is the best way to love her and
yep,
you and everyone and everything, right?
yeah,
It's real. What you are doing, Daniel, is literally the work of unshakable man, like courageous love, right? Like
yeah.
you're, I feel very like,
Well, I'm, I appreciate you, man, and I'm stoked to be at least I did, if not through it, and then at least able to identify it or name it and be able to like feel like there's a space that is available to like work on this together. So thank you.
yeah, um, I feel very lucky to have a friend that feels courageous enough to be in this group with me and to be my friend outside of the group.
Oh,
So
thanks, buddy.
it's a big deal. What is your stretch?
I mean,
My stretch is try it,
yeah, my stretch.
is to wait.
Yeah, oh, okay. So I thought I was coming up with yeah, my stretch is to like not go into the loop with her in that moment and try to explain like narratively explain it, and instead like bringing it my no hold on, my stretch is to notice that I'm in it and when it's happening, what time it is, all that kind of stuff, be present in it so that I can bring it back to the group and we can talk about it.
Yeah. So there's a very small phrase in there, is my stretch is to wait for her to trigger it, or to notice it. You said to notice it, because what we're actually doing is we're making it so that this isn't actually a bad thing anymore. This is literally the opportunity. She is going to automatically trigger the opportunity for you to practice. We actually need her to show up unconsciously and to waken this, to be the automatic trigger for you to go, wait, it's happening. What am I feeling? Where do I feel in my body? What do I need? What time is it? What's the location? Right? And this active awareness thing will pop on because you and I and this group, we have a relationship, right? For you to bring it back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Beautiful.
Daniel, I'm absolutely loving this because I remember when I first started doing this parts work. And so, coming to a conclusion that, my partner was my tormentor. And when I told her that, she about lost her mind.
And Mike has been practicing for 2 years, and you should
Yeah.
talk to him.
Yeah.
Really
So it's just, it's so cool to witness this with you, and to help hold space. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I really am.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Jim, how are you doing?
Oh, and I a lot of what's been discussed tonight, Daniel being part of it, really is resonating with me with my relationship with my husband. And I can share next week about this, but I kind of had a breakthrough a few days ago. He might not view it as a breakthrough, but I would. And I think I can't put my finger on it, but I think it had a lot to do with what I've been doing with the group, even though it's kind of early days. And I felt immense relief after I kind of unloaded in a loving way. I tried to be loving on him.
Yeah.
And I can talk about it next week if the time is right and all that.
So for Daniel, it's when we can take control of it, when we can soothe the part, rather than speaking from the part and having it guide it and saying, no, stop, we can learn to speak for the part.
Mhm.
And when we learn how to speak for the part, people can hear us.
Mhm.
Because we don't project it so much. And that's where communication comes in. But I don't want to confuse things from here. May we, Jim, that is amazing. And I really want you to bring that into group next week for the guys, okay?
But I really appreciate what Daniel's been talking about, because I've been kind of just taking mental notes, listening to everybody sharing tonight, because it really resonated on so many different levels. So I appreciate everybody talking. I didn't say much tonight, but I think it was better I listened.
All right, gentlemen. Can we say goodnight?
Hi, everybody. Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Love you guys. Bye. I'm going to post this in the group.
Later.
Bye.